Alrighty, welcome to the Grow Pair podcast. And today I have got my cousin-in-law, I think that's right, Debbi De Waal. Hello, Debbie.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Fine.
Good. Come all the way from Somerset West on a Saturday.
Oh my goodness, yeah, we had to have putt course and everything already.
You've got kids. Yeah, well, you've got youngsters, so you need putt course.
No, actually, that was for me.
Oh, is it for you? Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for coming through.
Pleasure.
This is weird for us because we know each other and we're family, and now we're going to have this conversation on a podcast. And
super serious.
yeah, like, well, no, it can't be super serious, but it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to have some fun. We're going to dive into a lot of cool stuff, I think, because I like your journey. I like what you've done with your life, with the things that you do and all of that. So I'm aiming to get interesting people, and I think you're interesting. Yes. But I didn't always think you were interesting. We boxed like
we fought a lot.
We fought a lot when we first met each other.
You just too much sometimes.
Oh, yes. I
so
agree.
So was I.
I remember getting into so much trouble. We went to, it was one of the, not the first time, but it was like one of the first times we all went out. It was out there on the, no, you weren't. No, you guys were like barely dating. It was like on the R44, there was that funny little restaurant there, and you and me got into a boxing match about, I can't remember what it was about. I remember getting into a lot of trouble, and I remember going afterwards, I don't know if I can let my cousin marry this crazy woman.
I think I've calmed down somewhat.
I think you have. I've also calmed down a lot. Well, I've kept quiet. I think I keep quiet more now.
I'm less triggered now. I still fight. I'll fight the point.
Yes.
But I'm less triggered by the response.
Yeah. Yes. I think I'm like that as well. I think I fight. Sometimes I look at the argument and I go, is this worth fighting? Is it worth like actually looking at it going, okay, is this going to actually, is being right going to change the world? No.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You can have the point, or whoever can have the point.
Yeah.
It drives Lee nuts because then she's like, no. We're talking about this.
I think parenting just tired me out. So I'm just like, at that point, I'm like, this has really got to be worth fighting for, because I'm already exhausted. So fighting this argument has got to be worth it.
Yeah. I get you. But now, okay, so you are tired, and then, so there's two different parts of what I want to talk to you about today.
Okay.
And I'm keen to, even though I know a lot of your journey, I'm keen to hear it in one concise thing. Because we've, over the years, dinners and family events and this and that and parties and all that, and we hear little bits of each other's lives. But what I'm finding is when I sit here with people, now all of a sudden we get to talk about, and you get a concise sort of hour-long or 45 minutes of the story where it flows, and then you get parts that you miss, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm quite keen for that.
You do know that I've got tabs, right?
Tabs?
So I start a story and I open up another tab and then I go back to that tab. So when you say concise, I'm going to try my hardest.
No, you can bounce around all you want. It makes sense. Like if you listen to the whole podcast, I've had 2 or 3 people that have also been like, chup. And when you listen to the whole thing in its entirety, then it makes sense.
Okay.
So if you're listening and you only plan on like listening to 10 minutes, like you got to listen to the whole thing. It doesn't make sense.
It's not going to make sense otherwise.
We want retention. That's the YouTube word for people watching your videos.
Okay.
How
stay
long,
tuned, guys. I'll get to my point about 6 times and then go back to the same point again.
So you said you are tired, and parenting tires you out. You've got 2 kids, a little girl and a little boy. And I remember I can go back to the thing, and I can feel the tingles on my body, the emotion when you told me you were pregnant.
I remember that.
Upstairs at New Gen.
You picked me up and you swung me around like a little girl myself. It was great.
So you've got 2 kids, which is awesome. So you're a mom, and you are married to my cousin Jan, and he is a lecturer and a very fancy geography PhD doctor. Person. So he's doing all of his things and flying all over the world and doing that kind of cool stuff. So already without you doing anything, your life is insanely busy. And this is where your tiredness maybe comes from a little bit. And then you decide to go and run across or over a mountain. 42 k's, is that correct? Is that
over
right?
2 days, exactly.
Over 2 days. Why would you, number one, do that? why would you do it? Let's start there.
So this was the second one, actually. I did one last year. So just by chance fell that both times it was over April. Similar, exactly the same weekend.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's probably by design.
Actually, it wasn't. It was. I was like, oh, this is an interesting run. Oh my goodness, it falls over the same time. So let me start with last year's, I think, just because it'll make sense. So Ruth is my running friend.
Yes.
She is a mom of 3, also busy life. And when we decided to do the run, she works for an organization that does support to adults with disabilities. And we thought it would be a good idea to run for a cause or run with a mission. I tend to be the kind of person that doesn't just do things to do things. I always want to have a reason and a cause behind it, which is a good and a bad thing, I think, sometimes.
It makes it worthwhile, though.
It makes it worthwhile, but it can also be tiring. We can touch on that a little bit later. But so last year we ran for Sinisio with adults with disabilities, and we were able to raise 20,000 Rand towards the organization, which was great. And then this year we decided to do it again, hoping to do it every year. Run for a cause.
And who is your cause this year?
Taste and See.
Taste and See. That's Auntie Yvette.
Yeah, Auntie Yvette.
That's so cool.
Our Auntie Yvette.
I've asked her to come on, and she's like, Des, I don't understand what a podcast is.
She'd be so good.
I know. No, I've been threatening. So we were supposed to go. Lee and myself supposed to go to Natal for some business stuff and for some, it's like a mix of business and personal. But we need to go, we were supposed to go up, and we were going to be leaving next week or the week after. Just be like 4 or 5 days before the school holiday starts, which is close. And the whole thing kind of stopped. Well, it stopped now, but like I was saying to Yvette, you've got to come, blah, 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 and we're going away. So, and then she was like, okay, I'll come after you come back.
Oh, seriously?
I was like, okay, cool.
Shame, very busy time for her.
Yes, I think so. Okay, cool. So Taste and See, what is Taste and See? What do they do?
Yeah, so we started Taste and See, started during COVID, actually. We found the need, as everybody felt it. People were not having food on their tables. So Taste and See started as an initiative to get food on the table. So it had groceries, people would come and get groceries. And then as COVID, third year coming, we found that people, it's good to give people food. It's good to give them, feed their families. But actually, what changes poverty really is giving them a hand up. So how do you empower them to feed their own families?
Give a man a fish or teach him to fish, kind of
something
thing.
like that. So not a hand down, a hand up. So Taste and See shifted its, I say, like values and mission of sorts to be a hand up. So now we provide skills development training alongside those groceries, and we run various programs. So it's either domestic worker training or small business training. So it's run at the same premises as our church that I belong to, although it's a separate NGO. And we get local business people in the church to come and run a program with them. And
that's cool.
Yeah, so if you are a go-go on the side of the road, having a really good business and maybe selling some chicken feet, which I know that you've had. I still can't believe it.
Oh, come on, chicken feet are great.
Oh, no.
We did that was it Kai's birthday?
Yeah.
Was it Kai's birthday? Yeah. We did that whole...
I don't remember.
It was I've got a picture. I've got my snapper shirt, and I'm holding a chicken.
I didn't go because I didn't.
Yeah, it was like Amazing Race. I'm sure it was Kai's birthday. Yeah, it was like his 18th or something. That was a long time ago already.
Yeah, so that's Taste and See. So it's giving people a skill and giving them a meal.
Okay.
So
cool.
I thought that is the perfect. I mean, not only is it run by a very close friend of mine, and it is supported through our church, it is, it's a cause close to my heart. Yeah,
that's a worthy... Well, it is feeding people. We both know each other, so that's like so close to my heart as well. But what... I'm trying to think, what makes you go and run 42 Ks? I mean, you could technically get onto, I don't know, TikTok or something, grab your phone, right, and be like, hey guys, we've got this cool thing, help us out. You can stay in the comfort of your own home, in a building, or maybe record the training, little bits of the training or whatever else. And that's a very easy way to go and raise funds, but you decide, no, you're going to spend hours and hours training, I'm assuming. Because I don't know if I could run. Oh, gosh, no. I definitely couldn't run 21Ks. I might be able to walk it, maybe. Yeah. But, like I was looking on Google Maps the other day, and I was like, okay, 21Ks. And it's like, wait, hold on. At my walking pace, it's like 9 hours. It's a lot. It's not a little bit, you know. What makes you do that?
I think all of us use the skills that we have, and all of us use what's available to us. And running is what's available to me. Running is what I'm personally passionate about. It's my go-to form of exercise, but also I enjoy it. And I wanted to use what I enjoy to fund for something that I love, and that's important. And it was not only getting money, but it's getting exposure. Yeah. So I think all of us, we can look at our lives and go, okay, how can I shed light onto a cause? And then if I go to TikTok or I go to Instagram or I go shout from the top of the building, none of those come naturally to me. None of those I'm going to feel comfortable doing. Yes, but I'm already running. I enjoy training. And I always say that's like my art of parenting, you know, because then Jan's got to step in and, you know, be the full-time parent while I'm running a mountain. And so I think to answer your question, I took what I loved. I took what's easy to me to shed light on an important cause. And I think we can all do that through various platforms. You know? Yeah.
So you made something that could be mundane worth it.
Yeah,
go back to our
I suppose you can call running mundane for some people.
Geez, no. I tried it once. Didn't enjoy it. Yeah. What does it take to get to that point where you can run up and over a mountain? Like, what's the training look like?
I actually got trained by a organization called Rooted in Dirt, which is
Simon and Jana.
Simon and Jana. Also, we keep it in the family, aren't we?
Yeah.
So Rooted in Dirt is they do trail running training and also nutritional support. So cool. I'm plant-based myself, so it was helpful getting advice from trail running specialists and also having support in nutrition. So I had a training program and I followed it.
And that's simple. This is like, okay, I had a training program, wake up, training program, and ta-da.
I think. Do you know what? It sounds more intense than it is. I think, again, I enjoy it. At the end of the day, I'm not this 5 o'clock runner. Okay, 5 o'clock in the morning is not when I'm going to get out. But at the end of the day, when I've reached my capacity, then I go for a run, and it's just kind of. And what's really nice about a training program, a lot of people are against it. Myself and Ruth, she was I don't like training programs. I don't like people.
I'm my own person. Leave me alone. You're not the boss of me.
Exactly. And she was like, I don't want somebody to tell me how to run. I want to run. She might not have said it in those words. But I was like, most of my life, I have to figure out what the next step is and do the next thing. And everything is so, but when it came to running, Jana would, put a plan together, and I didn't have to think about it. I could get on the road. I knew what kind of training plan. What was it? Sprints today? Was it, fartlek?
Fartlek.
Yeah, it's a thing. I had to say it. I thought you'd laugh.
That's fantastic. I'm going to use that one at home. I told you this is training. I'm sorry, this is training. Debbie told me.
The fartlek training, and it was just so it was quite nice just having a training program and not overthinking it. Yeah.
Jocko Willink, he's a ex-military dude in the States. Has also got a podcast, and he's like, freedom comes from discipline. He's like, if you've got riverbanks that you've got this sort of thing which is now not holding you captive, but holding you in, is giving you some structure. Yeah. You can then do what it is, inside that. And then, I'm very much I'm not a disciplined person. Okay. At all. Like, people look at me and go, but some people look at me and go, oh, Des, but you're so disciplined. You're up at 4:30 every morning and you've got all these things that you do and you've got to be disciplined to do it. And I'm like, no, I'm like all over the show to do it. But not having to think, and this is something I was chatting with someone the other day, is even with the podcast now, like setting up here and whatever else, I'm now looking to hire someone to come and do not the mundane things for me, but the things that chew up time, valuable time where I make no money, if that makes sense, or where there's no necessary benefit out of it. Yeah. And so like there, having to not think, and I think maybe you can draw that correlation.
Yes,
not
100%.
having to think is just a point of
100%.
like, oh, this is what I have to do. Because like, I mean, I exercise a bit and whatever else as well. And I'm also that same thing. Like, okay, what am I doing today? Am I doing push-ups? Am I going to the park? Am I walking up the road? Am I doing what? And by the time you thought about it, I'm like, no, not really. It's been 30 minutes. I'm going to sit on the couch rather.
Not just that, it's expertise. Like I know what I'm good at, and I know where I can be creative, and I know what I don't know. Or maybe I don't know what I don't know, so I need somebody to tell me what I don't know. And that's where Rooted to Do It came in. It was like, this is how you get from A to B, and I'm going to help you get there. And they did. I mean, we finished it. I think we did fairly well. But the goal was not to come first. I'm strangely enough not competitive in that way. Like, I'm competitive within myself, but I'm not competitive when it comes to a team, if that makes sense. So for me, it was doing well to my own standards and getting Taste and See this year, the exposure that I was hoping it would get.
And what was the outcome for Taste and See? What were you raising money for? Is it just the general stuff, or was it specific projects?
Good question. So the last few years we have been, as I said, providing groceries, and we would purchase those groceries, and then obviously it wasn't at a cost of those that were receiving the groceries. And we've come to realize that, and when I say we, I don't work for Taste and See.
But you're taking ownership.
Yeah, no. So
I was going to ask you, are you actually involved day to day? Because I didn't think you were.
I do. So I do a lot of volunteering for Taste and See.
Okay.
So in the domestic worker training, and we also do something called Black Bag Boutique. So we collect clothes, and we take each family individually. So some families that they've had a baby and they don't have the funds or the clothes to buy clothes or to get clothes, and you'll see that's the poverty disparity, at least, where we have access to people. I have access in my context here to ask people for hand-me-downs clothes, for spare trolley. I mean, I know people that would have like 3 prams because, one, they need the running pram, and they need the at-home pram, and they need the shopping pram,
Is that a thing?
I think for some people it is, but now you get a 3-in-1, so you can buy one and then have all 3 services, and I would get involved in those kind of ways. So I would ask those in my context sphere, who's got an extra pram, who's got some extra hand-me-down clothing, or maybe do you have parental advice, and then I'll have access. So looping back to my point, I don't work for Taste and See, but it's, I work for my local church, and as I said, they're on the same premises and supported by, so we kind of all just pitch in.
Yeah.
Remind me, what is the question?
No, I've forgotten. That's what I like about conversations. We can just talk and...
Yes, the cause.
The cause, there we go.
The exact cause I was running. So it was
go.
not just for Taste and See. It was a specific program.
Yep.
So we coined our run Greyton for Gardens. Greyton was the mountains that we ran, and gardens. We are hoping to purchase a land. Taste and See is hoping to purchase a land in Nomzamo, in the area that we predominantly work in, to be able to grow our own food. And that serves two needs. Now, number one, we are upskilling the local community on how to actually work the land, be able to grow their own
produce.
Yes, produce. Yeah. Because I don't know if you've ever tried, but you just grow something in your garden. It's like almost impossible. I kill everything. So we, so it's to help all of us learn how to grow our own produce. So it's giving a skill. And also those groceries it can contribute to, obviously, to the groceries we're handing out, and then maybe possibly sell it as for some income for the organization. So that's why we coined it Greyton for Gardens.
For Gardens. Okay, cool. So you want to get a piece of land, you're going to dig it all up and then plant stuff.
Yeah.
You're not planting the stuff, though.
No. Okay. This is just me running a mountain and hoping that they can plant it.
You doing your bits, and then somebody else is good. Yeah, somebody else is not good at running, but good at planting, digging. Yeah. Jeez. Okay, this is cool. How close did you get to your target?
Ooh.
How far away from your target are you?
I think.
What's your target?
Our target, So the target to get the gardens is really high.
Yeah.
My target was only to get 20,000.
Okay.
This year we didn't reach the 20,000 mark. But that's okay, because for me it was twofold. It was getting money to contribute to the purchasing of the land, but second of all, to get exposure. And this is exposure, so this is a win for me. You know, it's being able to talk about the cause on a bigger platform, or run it and speak to people, speak to runners, or you know, on the social media saying I'm busy running, and people are like, oh, what are you running? I'm like, well, I'm actually running for 2 reasons: because I enjoy it, I love the mountains, and there's this cause.
Yeah. Okay. So then what we'll do, and this is part of what I want to do. I'm not big enough as a podcast yet to make like this huge impact. Yeah. But like we can do some cool stuff though. Like, so like you've been very articulate and whatever else with the whole thing. I've been watching in my brain, sitting here ticking in the background going, can I clip this into something I can put onto social media? And I think we will be able to. So who knows? Maybe we can. I'll definitely clip this all up, and then we can start posting around and put links to the page and that kind of stuff, so people can, if they feel they can donate. I think, and that's what it's a very, I try and split the podcast, like the grow a pair is like get up and do something, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
It's
I was going to say, I can't grow a pair, but I mean, I could.
You grow a pair of ovies. I mean, like, come on. It's because you're a girl. I've had this conversation like 20 times.
Oh, really?
With girls are like, girls can't grow a pair. So grow a pair of ovies. Like, come on. Like, that works. Okay, cool. We're there. Okay. Sweet.
Not sure I like it, but I'll go with it. I'll be honest.
Well, we're include everybody. We'll just bring everyone in. But I think, I mean, I took a maybe a phrase that just worked for me, and that's what I do when I'm sitting at 4:30 in the morning. I wake up and I'm like, I've got to edit a video, or I've got to go for a run, or I've got to do something, and I don't want to do it. And the words I use to myself is, come on, bro, grow a pair, get going, you know. And that for me is a massive part of it, for the podcast. But another part of it is then how do we impact people that are less fortunate? So sure, we can inspire someone to start a business, we can inspire someone to start running, we can inspire someone, who knows, maybe someone listens to this and next year you've got a third person who comes running with you, and now you've got this person who has a sphere of influence, and that grows something, and then maybe you get 100k next year, who knows, right? Or you get 20 people, you get 100, I don't know, like, and that's the cool part about, I think, the social media thing that we live in. It's like, we don't know.
Crazy world.
Absolutely don't know. I mean, some of my videos that I've put out in the last little while have gotten like 350,000 views. Wow. And cool, you know, like great. And then other ones do 25 views, but, you know.
Tempting to find out how many views I get. Keep watching, people. Share it with your friends.
It's getting more and more. So there's like, it's really cool. It's like there's a, I don't know if you know Joni Falloon, it's Jason Van Zyl's sister.
Okay.
Jason Grant's sister. So she was on, her episode went out this last Wednesday. And so she was on, and she was working with the financial thing, and then she is now running a garden service, and then she's got this like organic, she does like bath salts and creams and all of that kind of stuff, all organic and whatnot. And we chatted with her, and it's, that was like a cool, you know, cool whatever. So you're like the second girl so far, 12th or 13th
female
episode,
empowerment.
but like, there we go. But I think the part of it that maybe I don't always focus on the podcast is helping people. Okay. So alerting people through this thing, which right now, sure, my best video's got 302 views on it, but there's 302 people that have watched it. Yeah. Cool. There might be one in there that can be inspired, or there might be one in there that can help. You don't know, you know, and that's the cool. That's what I'm hoping is that like every now and again we get people on like yourself that are doing this really cool thing, helping, and you know, I mean, hundreds of families, I'm assuming. Yeah, and that's cool.
I mean, hundreds currently. I mean, you've been doing this for since COVID, so
that's what 2020, almost 2021.
When did COVID hit? Gee, West Coast 2020,
Yeah, I think COVID hit 2020. We got locked down early 2021, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's almost 4 years then. Yeah. But that's cool. How did you now get to where you are now? So you're working for a church, you're volunteering at a non-profit, and I mean, is that the career that you started out wanting, or I know there's been a journey, and I'm trying to be like I don't know what your life is, but I do. But like where did you come from to get to where you are now? And then within that, what I want to also know is, what are the sacrifices that you've had to make to get to this? Because you're achieving purpose here. You've got purpose, and you're living an altruistic. I always use some big words, but you're living like an altruistic almost life where you're giving so much of yourself. And you've done this for yonks. We've had the likes of Austin and Bevan who have studied in your lounge. You had me, who you housed for for some time, and have helped. And I started a business in your kitchen at 3:00 in the morning. I
remember the blender sounds.
Yes, so there's like you've sacrificed a lot of yourself just day to day. Let's go through that. How did you get to this, and why the hell do you do it?
So, as every young person at 18 wants to change the world, we come out of schooling and we just feel that the world needs to be changed and somehow we can make an impact. Well, I assume that everybody at 18 wants to do that, but at least that was my story on the way here.
At 18, I just wanted to make $1 million.
I think
that was me.
This
I want to
is
make
the
money.
thing. I think maybe the only half of the 18-year-olds want to do it, and the other half. I remember when the tsunami hit. So I was grade 9.
Oh, yeah.
I remember watching the TV in our lounge, and I remember going to my mom and go, I'm going to go. And
go there.
Yeah. I wanted to go. Okay. I wanted to go to Asia, and I wanted to help. And my mom's like, "You're in grade 9." And I was like, "No, I want to go." And I just remember in that moment, like you saying you remember when I fell pregnant, and you remember that moment,
Yeah.
I remember that moment in grade 9 going, if I'm going to do anything in the world, I want to make an impact. I want to make a change, and I remember the injustice of it all, They're just like, people are suffering and people don't have access to food and water and homes. Like, this is not okay. And we're sitting here all the way in South Africa doing nothing about it. Why aren't we flying across? And my mom just looking at me like, just finish school and then we can discuss your altruistic beliefs, So I went, as every South African 18-year-old goes across the world to find themselves. So I went to the UK, and then I wouldn't say I found myself. I found part of myself, then came back and felt called to go to mission. So I did mission for a year, went to various places. And then I think I found my cause there.
When you say you went to mission, where did you go?
Gee whiskers. I think I went to Zambia. We spent 3 months at different posts working with long-term missions, and the organization's tagline was helping long-term missions and being a support and resource to long-term missionaries. There we go. Okay. Support and resource to long-term missionaries. And I was going to be a missionary. I was going to change the world. And then reality struck, and I was like, I need an education first. So I spent 5 years not educating myself, getting educated. So I did a BTH in community development, and then I did an MA in organizational leadership and development. All for the NGO sector.
Yes. This was all before we met, because you studied after that a little bit as well.
Yeah. So okay, cool. We met around the time that I was doing my MA. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And then I worked for various NGOs. We worked with NGOs that were registered with the CETAs, and I did skills development and training.
You got the CETA word.
Just for everybody else to watch it, I was driving here. I was like, they were registered with the what? And my husband was like, the CETAs, Debbie. They were registered with the CETAs. So I was working in all these fields, doing the things that I love doing.
Yeah.
So being a support and resource to not at that point long-term missionaries, but organizations, and getting people again with not a lot of access to the resources that I have available because of South African history. And then there was a bit of a wobble. My wobble.
Tell me about your wobble.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of NGO fatigue or NGO?
I have heard about it.
Yeah.
I don't quite. I mean, it's obviously in the name.
Yeah.
You're just tired of being in an NGO, but maybe it's a bit more than that.
Compassion fatigue. That's kind of the word, the lingo. I just got to a point.
Now that you say that, sorry, like I look at it and I'm like, okay, cool. I can go through a part of my life where I was just like, no, I'm full. Yeah. I'm tired. I'm done with this Okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I've actually. I mean, there's a nice description here I can read if you want to put. If you want me to read it and put the edit.
Go for it. Yeah.
So you can put the link at the bottom of this, so we can make sure that we're not plagiarizing or anything like that. Okay.
We'll reference everything. See, this is your education, your fancy. I never did any of this kind of nonsense. So
this is not me speaking, everyone. This is this blogger writing. No. So we'll put the link. So it's really interesting to read. It says, in between writing, funding proposals, and trying to keep the lights on at your NGO, you're working endless hours helping vulnerable communities. The struggle against the impact of generational trauma, poverty, and despair feels helpless. But if you don't try help, who will? You wonder if you are really making an impact. The strain of moving from crisis to crisis is wearing on you, and you feel like giving up. You dream about working in a fancy corporate office. At least they have air conditioning and comfortable chairs. But your heart is in the non-profit sector, and you know you can't move on.
Yeah. That's the definition of a catch-22.
Yeah. So, I was very similar. So now this is where you come into the story. I just got to a point where I was working for this NGO. I was doing skills development and training and helping them they were doing bricklaying courses and welding courses. And I
remember the welding courses.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we were working in Gugulethu, and I was giving them life skills and helping them budget, and then approaching the corporate sector and saying, employ these guys, they're employable, where their ability to reach, I was using our ability to reach large corporates to employ them.
Yeah, well, that's a nightmare. So, like, I go even from my own self. So, my education is not limited. I had a good enough education for what I want to do. Okay. So, like, I didn't do any further studies. Like, I don't have a degree. Let's put it that way. So, I didn't do any university or college. I've done small courses, but that was actually all after I turned 30. Weirdly enough, but for myself even, so I've been in sales. Sales is easy to get into. You phone a company, hey, there's a sales position. Okay. Yeah, I can sell. Cool. Okay. Prove you can sell. I sell the guy, I get a job and go. That's easy enough. But then when you start getting into management and you want to start going, okay, cool, well, hey, I want to be a sales manager, then they start going, okay, well, now prove. Okay. And then it starts becoming harder. Okay. And then getting through from CV, like if I get in front of someone, I can sell them and I can get the job. So like for myself, I think I've lost 2 jobs in my life that are like, if I've interviewed, if I get face to face, I get the job. But like it's been 2 that I haven't. So like there, as long as I get there, but getting there has always been the mission. And is that where you were kind of going with it?
Exactly. So so not only from transport, so not only physically getting there, but actually there's a word that's at the tip of my tongue, but I'm not reaching it. So the exposure. Yeah. So we would have these long-term relationships within the corporate sector, and we would give them not only a skill, but the life skills to be able to. So you can get a job. Getting a job is not the hard part. Do you know what the hard part is? It's staying in the job. Yes. It's being able to. You're a single mom, so you got a job now. Yeah. But now childcare is the issue. Yeah. Or you get sick, or you have to stand in long lines. And I don't think the broader South African employment sector gets this often. Is, now often you would need to get a job, you only get paid at the end of the month, but now you actually need to get to work, to transport. Or there'll be a taxi strike. Or you get the salary at the end of the month and you've never had that salary, which we've all been there, and you overspend. And now you forget that you need to budget transport money. Yeah. So that's why we'd provide the skill, we'd provide the life skills, and then I would go and punt them in the corporate sector. And I'll be like, hey, these guys and ladies, they're worth it. They've got the skill, they've got now the life skills, and we've walked a road with them. They are employable. Yeah. And so I was doing that, but at the same time, and you were involved in my own private life, overstretching, we were running an outreach program. Yeah. For a bunch of, they were girls and boys. Yes. Yes. They were the likes of the Austins and the Izzy and the Bevins that we spoke about. Yeah. That hopefully can come up here one day and have a chat.
I'm so excited. I've chatted to Bevan a bit. I haven't mentioned like coming on the podcast yet, but I want to get him on.
Yeah. Hear his story.
Yeah, I think he's got a great story.
He does.
Okay, so this is going to be now just me and Debbie talking about personal thing for 2 minutes, but I chatted with Austin the other day. Okay. And Austin's been employed for 5 straight years at the same company. mind blown.
Huge.
I saw him in December. We drove past his house. We were going to Lee's cousin's place. We were going to go fetch your brother for Christmas Day.
Okay.
And I was driving down the road, and I was like, oh, cool. Oh, there's a yellow house, and next to it's Austin's place, And I thought, I wonder if he's still living there or not.
Yeah.
And as I drove past, I look, and there's Austin sitting there, chilling, drinking a Coke or something. And he looks, and I look, and we were like, oh, and I pulled off the road. I'm getting goosebumps. Like and he ran across the road. He gave me a big hug, and he's like, Des, you're going to be proud of me. I've been there for 5 years. I'm like, he's gone from just cleaning, whatever it was. He started off cleaning. Now he's driving a forklift, and he's in the thing, and he wears a hairnet, and like, he's got like this whole thing. It's insane, because I was thinking back to that, the fatigue thing. I had my sort of fatigue with Austin, where I was trying to help him and trying to help him and trying to help him and trying to help him, and it didn't work. And like I got to the point where I was like, dude, you know what? This is too much.
Yeah.
And it took, I think it was, Bevan's kept me like up to date over the years. He's like, hey, Des, Austin got a job. Okay, cool. Well, that's nice. He got 5 jobs when he was hanging around with me.
Yeah.
But it's so cool to see the impact. So I'm like jumping ahead now a little bit in the thing, but to see the impact that a little bit, maybe not a little bit, but a little bit of actual just compassion, a little bit of help, a little bit of drive and fetch someone, a little bit of,
walk a road together.
Yeah, buy 20 rands electricity so they've got light to study or whatever the story is.
Yeah. So linking kind of back to what you were saying. So we walked a road with these boys and girls. So as I said, at that point I wasn't employed, but we were involved in the church. So we were involved in the church, and we just walked a road with a bunch of kids. We have something called Kids Club, and with people are messy. We're all messy,
Oh, yeah.
and we have stories, and so we would. Some of the kids couldn't do their schoolwork, so they would come and do homework on our dining room table, and we would take them to see the cheetah farm and just. Oh,
that picture came across my Facebook the other day. Every couple of years it pops up.
Yeah. And so I was doing this. Jan and I, and you were involved, and a whole bunch of us volunteers were involved with this in our private lives. The boys would go to the hospital up the road, HH, and get, stabbed. In the evening, and then call at our gates, and then we would be able to, give them transport money home or take them in for the evening kind of thing. And then I had this job. at this NGO sector when I was dealing with full-grown adult men. I don't know how old I was then. Must have been like 20, maybe 26 at that point. And dealing with these 55-year-old men that have been at the situation where South Africa had let them come, where now they have no education, they have no skills, and they are desperately
They've just been at the mercy of life.
100%. And give them skills, and now I'm punting for them at this massive corporate and say they are valuable. They have a skill. They can be real asset to your company. And just sometimes the doors being slam. And I just got to the point where I was like, I can't. Like that code says, like it was just easier to jump ship. And go to the corporates, and at least I'm in a comfortable chair, and I've got air conditioning, and I don't have to think about the struggles that people are facing, actually. And oddly enough, I was offered a job amidst all of this at one of these corporates that I was punting. And that's how our story starts a little bit, I suppose. I was there
the
for
seaweed
4
is
years.
not always greener.
I thought it was.
Yeah. I think for a while it was, because I remember you going into that job like vividly. Like it's a part of something I really remember.
I came to you with the offer, and I was like, tell me about this offer. I've never worked in the corporate sector before. Is this good? Is this bad? Like there are benefits. What are benefits? Because in the NGO sector, then I had to think of policies, and I was like, oh my goodness. So it was good, but. Like it ends here, where it says, I really like how it ends here. It says, but your heart is still in the non-profit sector, and you can't move on. Yeah. And there were a few other factors. I fell pregnant, and I didn't want my daughter to be born in that kind of environment, to be honest. This 9 to 5, mom's not around. It just wasn't for me.
The rat race.
Exactly. And it was against, I think, who I was anyway.
Yeah. But you did really well in that job. I remember you going in there, and you achieved a hell of a lot. But I remember the conversations we had because it was not quite, it was sales-ish, but you were meeting with big clients and all of that. I remember a lot of the conversations we had where you're like, "Oh, Des, I'm talking to these guys. What do you think? Where's an angle? Should I say this? Should I not say this?"
It was in the construction sector, you know, so I had to go in and
You would have spoken to my dad as well a bit about that at some point,
So him and I ended up having coffee breaks every time I went into the city. Him and I would have. I'll say I'm going for a client meeting. It's true, but it was also like a little bit personal.
Go and see deets. Yeah. Jeez. You know how many people tell me that? That same story? It's like, I used to go to Cape Town and I'll go see your dad.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the little impact, but the impact he had on people, which is really cool that like, my dad never bragged about that. You know, like, I know he had coffee with you like at least once, you know, kind of thing, you know, like that I'd be like, oh, of course. Yeah. Debbie used to go to town, makes sense. But, you know, like it's enough of a thing that it's in the forefront of your memory of that time, which is really cool. Yeah.
And then I think I came to myself after a while. I realized that, and then I got offered a job where then I was working for myself for a while.
Yes, you did like remote, what is it? Like, what's it called?
Virtual assistant.
There we go.
Yeah. So I'm still doing a little bit of that to cover some of the bills. And so for the past, what's it now, 5 years, I've been back actually in full-time ministry. So some NGO sector, but a little different. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Jeez. Yeah. It's an interesting one. Sorry, I've got lots of memories flooding through my head right now. So this is like, this is lekker. I'm trying to think. You and me were talking about something earlier in the coffee shop upstairs. I can't remember.
40s? Turning 40?
Turning 40, yes.
Okay,
I wanted to go down it. I wanted to go there.
Down this rabbit hole.
That was a good one. I think we started the conversation and then I don't know if I got awkward because whenever I talk with people before we do podcasts, I try and like not have the conversation.
Okay.
But like, because then I can have the real conversation. Yeah. Anyway, so I turned 40 last year. Tell me that thing because I've already forgotten. I remember it was like, that's cool, but I've already forgotten a little bit of it. Let's talk about midlife crises quickly and that little conversation.
Okay,
That'd be great.
So I remember in my undergrad I did psychology.
There we go.
And we were talking about various. Now I really hope that my lecturer, that I can't remember her name, doesn't listen to this because she's like, that's not what I taught.
That is what we meant.
She's like, that's not the part I wanted you to take home that day.
It's like anyone that reads The Art of War and they're like, fight the enemy where they aren't. And they're like, no, that's not what it means.
So we all go through crises in our lives, and it generally happens every 7 years, give or take. And the one that's highlighted, it's in the we talk a lot about it because generally midlife crisis at your 40 is the one that's highlighted. Why? Because generally the man's going to go buy a Ferrari, you know. He's going to get to a point in his life where he says, I want meaning, or I found meaning, or I'm going through a crisis before I hit meaning.
Yes, yeah.
And so obviously everybody's interested in the big Ferrari because it's making such an impact. But we all hit various crises in our lives. And during actually our marriage prep, we were married in the Anglican church, although we're not personally Anglican.
Yes.
And Jeff, he said to us that it is by the age, Jeff was, I'm going to say it wrong. He's an archbishop.
There we go.
And he said, he did our marriage prep, and he said that at the age of 40 is the first time that you start becoming, what we would call true self. So you have officially moved out of your response of how you were parented to your true self response. So up until that point, you're often reacting against what your parents have told you, or you've now built that muscle. It says, this is what you've said, this is who I am, this is who I am. And it's often a response. Yeah. But now you're entering into a place of true, this is who I am, and I'm responding out of what I want, not what I think I should have. Yeah. And in this conversation over coffee, I said, I'm looking forward to it when I turn 40. Like, it'd be interesting to find.
See who I become.
Yeah, who am I really? So I'm quite excited about that. And you said that you had a similar kind of shifting moment when you turned 40.
Yeah, it was interesting because, okay, look, I turned 40 just after, I want to say crisis and, trauma. I personally, I hate those words. I feel like they're overused and used wrong. But, like, I restarted. So it was, like, 39 years old, poached into what was supposed to be a spectacular job with a spectacular salary and all kinds of meaning. And I was like, and I literally ripped out, Lee and myself by the roots, and off we went to KZN. And then the whole thing within 6 months fell apart. So coming back to Cape Town, that was 39 years old, moved in with my parents, with my dad, dying of cancer. That it was like heavy. And then sort of through that, it was like, okay, in with my folks. Then I did my trip to Oz, which was like so weirdly oxymoronic because I was like, I have...
For the wedding?
Yeah, for the wedding. Yeah. So my mate Ryan got married, and a few of my friends, which was insane, but they gifted me the whole trip. I spent a total of 285 Rand for a whole trip, 2 weeks.
Two coffees, there and back.
I bought a hat.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah, and so they gifted that whole thing, but I was sitting in a situation where I had no money. I had just moved, back to Cape Town, had lost so much money. Like, it was just the loss of that move was insane. And then from there moved in with my little brother into his spare room so that I could help him with his company, because that made it easier. Traveling, my folks lived in Pearly Beach, so it's like you can't commute 2.5 hours. It doesn't work, So then moved in to another spare room, which is something I've done so many times in my life. And then, like, we got out of it, and as we moved into our spot where we are now, I turned 40, I think it was the week after or the week before we moved in there. And it was like, I don't know if it was just maybe moving into a new place that just maybe drew a line in the sand, or was it this sort of like this 40 thing? Yeah. But I made a lot of changes at that time as well. So I went from eating crazy, like all kinds of nonsense food. I mean, I love chips and I love for sweets. And when we moved in the first day, I said to Lee, I'm like, cool, I'm going cold turkey. Okay. I'm not eating sweets. I'm not eating carbs. I'm not eating vegetables. I'm eating meat and eggs and cheese for the foreseeable future. Okay. And that was just like, this is what I'm doing. Klar. Okay. And it was weird because I think like everything in my brain, I feel like my brain just switched on.
Okay.
And so like guys that do the carnivore things, like they said, like we get 2 weeks in, the first 2 weeks is awful. And then after that, it's like mental clarity and energy and whatever else.
Imagine having you over for dinner. What would I feed you?
Oh, no, it's so easy. Oh, you'd have a hard time. I'd bring.
Yeah.
So
I can't even say we'll eat halfway.
A vegetarian and a carnivore walk into a bar. No, I don't know. That sounds like a good start of a joke. But yeah, so it's quite interesting because then when you do all of that, I mean, you faced it with going your veggie route. People look at you and go, "You're crazy," and then I'm doing meat, and people go, "You're crazy."
A lot of people tend to have opinions about what one puts in one's body. I find people are very passionate about what we eat.
Yes,
I find it very interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's. I don't know because like I'm quite. Yeah, I'm very passionate about food and health and whatever else. And then to be fair, I look in the mirror and I'm like, geez, bro, you're overweight. Like, really? So it's like, intermittent fasting as well. And there's like the benefits of these things are there. And it's like, okay, let's whatever, But yeah, so that was all of that happened at the same time as well as turning 40.
Okay.
So it's hard. Like when we were having the discussion there, I was going, that what percentage of it was a change in diet? What percentage of it was turning 40? What percentage of it was being able to, after it was no more than 10 months having our own place, because for 10 months we lived in other people's houses as a married couple. And that's... And to Lee's credit, she handled it like a champ. So yeah, I don't like, and this is something now I'm going to probably sit for the rest of the weekend and sit and ponder and go. I've been doing this introspective thing lately. Okay. It's quite cool. Like I'm very good. I've got that foot and mouth thing, So I sort of open my mouth just to change feet, So like I have even here at the podcast, I'll talk to people. Things that I say, I then jump in the car and I look at myself in the rearview mirror. I'm like, Chana, what where were you going with that? Why did you say it in that way? Or, you know, like, and just little things that maybe I don't mean in a certain way, but could come across in a certain way. And it's, the fun part of this is I've been learning to keep quiet and learning to listen. Like in my brain right now, like I set like little like hurdles almost for myself. Okay. This is like sort of guidelines and marks. Like I've been talking for too long right now in my brain. So I set myself like a limit. Talk for a minute, listen for 5. Okay. Kind of thing or whatever.
Listen to listen, not listen to speak, eh?
Yes.
Listen to listen, not listen to respond.
Yeah. And that's what's cool about this is I get to dissect people's lives. I get to talk to people like you, like so many other guys I've had on. And like I'm surrounding myself with people that are either, I don't want to say better or whatever, but there are aspects maybe that are better, that certain people are like, okay, cool, this person's further ahead in this part of their life than I am. Ooh, I can learn from that. And I'm so keen for like a year's time. I want to start getting all that information and somehow articulating it into something that I can then put out to the world, or, like I've always wanted to be a speaker, like I want to talk
motivational
events.
Speaker.
I don't know about motivational speaker, but I would like to.
Influential speaker.
Yeah, I would like to. Yeah, so I mean, like I've done sales training before and that kind of stuff. So I would love to go into that, but using now, like talking to big people or people that have done really well, and then be able to take that information and give it.
It's funny you saying like how you listen to what you're saying. You're like, okay, well, you review or you, it's quite fun in not so much preparing, because you didn't prepare me for this. But
no, but I didn't want to, because I wanted it to be real. This is one of the most conversational, real podcasts that I've done so far. Like,
but I had to go, okay, well, somebody's going to be asking about my life.
Yes.
Let me remind myself about my life, let me go, well, where I really enjoy introspection, and I tend to sit in, often reflect probably too much. But there are these moments in one's life, these transitioning moments, 40 being one of them, but various times in your life where you do a bit of a transition. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, before coming here, and I was like, there are these beautiful moments in one's life where you have to reflect, and you can either go this way or that way. Yeah. And linking back to your question, I mean, when I was in corporate, I had a decision, like, do I stay here or do I go back to something I'm really passionate about? That's going to cost me. Yeah. It's going to cost me income. It's going to cost me being vulnerable enough to go back into that NGO fatigue, the compassion fatigue that I can
it's going to cost you relationships.
It's going to cost relationships.
Almost cost you relationships. I mean, like, we don't have to go into that, but like there's cost.
There's cost involved.
Yeah.
And then you look back and then you those moments and you go, the costs were worth it. So I think reflection is good.
Yeah, I think so too. On those costs, because this is the fun, or the negative side of things that people look at. Because you chat to. Jump onto any social media platform and there's some high-flying guy or girl that is taking pictures in front of a jet or in front of a fancy G-Wagon or a Ferrari or whatever the story is. And people look at that and go, whoa, that's the life we want. And the younger generation, sounds awful saying it. But
sorry, Dad, we're not there anymore.
Like, back in my day. But, I mean, look, my whole life has been chasing, maybe not chasing money, but chasing some kind of purpose, I suppose. Okay. But the sacrifices that go into whatever, like you're fulfilled, for lack of a better word. In fact, it's the right word, I think. You're fulfilled. You could walk out of here, you could get hit by a bus, and you've done good. Like, in terms of, I don't think you would sort of, pop at the pearly gates and it's like, I wish, and you would go, I wish I could have helped 200 people more. But if you look at it sort of objectively, you can go like, I've done good. Okay. I have no idea where I was going with this. The sacrifices. You said the sacrifices are worth it. Like, are they actually worth it? Like, where you fit in so well in the corporate world. You did. You had your power suits on. You did well. You did a good job of it. like financially, you guys could have been in a vastly different area. Like, I mean, that's one that people look at and go, no, stick it out with the money, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what is it that's worth it? So it's a tough, really, I don't know how to articulate it. I'm not articulating it right. But
I actually don't think people chase after money. I think people chase after meaning. Because money can be meaning.
Sure.
Do you know?
Sure.
I think everybody, I think we're wired. And you know, not to go down the overly religious thing, but I think that's what we're created for. We're created for meaning and purpose, and I think we're created for something other than this. That is why every form of religion is looking for some form of God, some form of deity, some form of theos. I personally believe in God, the Christian God. And I think that, and in fairness, all faiths and all religions have that meaning and created outside of this world. So I think we are created for something bigger because we're not created within the world. So I think that when you find your meaning, then I think that all the other things look a little bit less intriguing anymore.
How do you find your meaning?
Stop doing and just being, resting. So we have this tagline at our church is working from rest.
Working from rest.
Working from rest.
Okay.
So often we work and we do these things, but we don't actually stop and rest. And we say it's resting in God. So the one who has created you and who knows who you are, you rest in Him, and then He has created you for a purpose. So you act from that place of rest. And I think that could be true for those who do not believe too.
Yeah, of course.
So, you know, in many ways you were forced to stop just before you were 40 and forced to relook and forced to make decisions. And in many ways that might have been a rest for you at that moment. You were forced to breathe back and go, okay, well, actually, I don't want to have this diet. No, actually, what can I do now? So it was forced rest, but it was rest.
Look, it was tough. 3 months at a beachside, retirement village, for lack of a better word, but it was great. Pearly Beach. My dad and myself went fishing every other day. We used to walk the dogs. It was forced rest, and that's actually that's actually, now that I think about it, a great thing of like, okay, cool. I came out of that and have achieved, I think, a decent amount within, like, helping my boy to this business, within starting the podcast, within a bunch of other things that I don't talk about, but like, that rest. I think that rest, because I don't know if I did rest before that much, at least.
Well,
it was always
Durban was hard. Durban was hard. We didn't chat all the time, but that the work that you were in,
it was
hard.
Physical, it was emotional, it was mental, it was people, it was it was a lot.
I think when you look in the face of poverty and you experience true compassion towards somebody else, I think that changes you, and I don't think you can go back. And I'm not saying that people who are working in the corporate sector don't experience that, or secular, or you can be in a high-powered job. Yes. Earning lots of money and still work from rest and still find meaning and still make an impact. So this is not about working in the NGO sector that has more meaning than in the corporate, or that those who are high-powered 8 to 5 or 8 to 9 sometimes jobs don't have meaning and purpose. It is coming, you can work in those sectors and be really busy, but know what you're called to do, it's knowing that it's not just about you, and it's working from a place of recognizing that there is pain and there are people that are struggling, and recognizing that you may have an impact, that we all, like Ubuntu. I mean, it's South Africa in its truest form.
Yes,
we don't just live all by ourselves. Yeah. Whatever decisions we make impact others, no matter whether you know it or not. And we need those places. We need those who are working. We need the big businesses. Yeah. We need those who are fighting for sales. We need people that are making the bucks. You know why? Because they can employ those. They can employ people. Yeah. So
because not everybody is an Elon Musk. I mean, everyone maybe wants to be, because and I always said out of ignorance, because you don't know. Like, I've had people look at me and go, "Yo, Des, like, the job you work is so cool." And I'm like, no, well, I can. Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah. But if I were to put my wife into it, she would be miserable working the job I work, or working, doing sales and being so sort of that kind of front-footed. Whereas the job she does, where the sales come to her, she is great with that. Yeah. I would put my head through the wall. Like I couldn't, if I just sit at a desk all day, no ways, couldn't. It takes all types.
So if I can borrow or lend, I think borrow is the right word in this one. The Jewish culture believes that when you like the lay of the land, you glean. They would leave like a meter or two around their crops, so that those who did not have could walk around and grab. So it's that understanding of they would let their land fallow every 7 years and to rest the land. So I think that in all our lives, no matter if we're the ones that are owning have the land or don't have the land, or you can in all of our lives, I think we should have capacity and create capacity to help others. Whether you are CEO of a company, majorly stage different, or if you're in my situation where we are the ones maybe on the ground, but we need those people that are not on the ground to help us.
I like that. Okay, so we'll end it off with the next bit that I've got for you. I want to ask. It's a new thing. I did it with Joni last week. I'm asking people what does growing a pair look like to you? Okay. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? For lack of a better term to use, but it's like, what is it? Yeah, what does growing a pair mean to you?
So to me personally, not in my work.
To you personally.
Personally. I think that reminding myself, and I know this might not answer, but it does to me, that I am not what I do, who I am, and that what I do matters, but who I am matters more. So growing pair is being the best I can be in every role that I have. So I wear many hats. So I have my wife hat. That is really important to me. I have my daughter hat. I have my relationship with my mom and my sisters and my extended family. I have my mom hat, which these are not in order of priority, by the way.
Of course not.
Less my daughter here. And I have, and obviously I have a daughter to my dad and my stepmom and my mom hat. And then I have my work hat. Being full-time ministry and I work with kids in kids ministry and being a mom and a place where those children can find love and a place to be vulnerable. And then I have my own, my involvement in Taste and See and that kind of hat, and then just my friend hat, and got so many hats, but to not prioritize those hats and growing a pair and saying that those are all matter. And that often I think that when we do NGO work or if we do non-profit work, or we can become quite arrogant in that space, It says, oh, my work means more and what I do has more meaning than those who are doing something else. And no, that's not true. Linking back to our previous conversation, it's what you're doing matters. What you are bringing a voice to and getting that voice out there, and that matters, and that's important. So I don't know if it answers your question.
Yes, it does answer the question. Good job.
So use what's available to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thanks, Des.
This was fun. We're over an hour.
Uh-oh.
No, it's
You'll have to cut me.
No, not at all. No. I think the longest one I did was like an hour and 8 minutes or hour and 7 minutes. So it's not like linked to it. I've done one at 47 minutes, one at 27 minutes, and other ones, I don't know. There's some people I'm inviting that, I don't know, I might go for 2 or 3 hours with them because it's just... There's too much to unpack in an hour. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been very vulnerable. I like it. And, it's been an education. And I'm hoping that maybe, who knows, maybe someone sees this and helps out with Taste and See. And who knows, maybe someone comes and runs or gets inspired to go and do something or be better or whatever it is. Yeah.
Thank
Fantastic. You. Grow a pair. There you go.
Thanks, Des.